Welcome to Session 15, Program Management. During this session, you will learn the importance of maintaining records, keeping a system that serves as the basis for individual and group planning. You will be able to follow the policies and procedures of the center. You will be able to manage a classroom efficiently so that most of the teacher's time can be devoted to working directly with the children. Functional Area 12, Program Management. You will be able to use observations, documentation, and planning to support children's development and learning and to ensure effective operations of the classroom or group. Items 12.1. You will understand the importance of observations, documentation, and assessments for each child. Items 12.2. You will understand why you should adhere to regulatory requirements and program policies. Items 12.3. You will maintain effective professional relationships with co-workers, parents, and children. Planning skills. What are planning skills? Planning skills are those abilities needed for successfully arranging events, activities, and projects. Qualities needed for planning include organization, resourcefulness, and logic. To plan well, you must know what you want to accomplish, your purpose for the activity, as well as the abilities and limitations of the people and circumstances involved. Never go into the classroom thinking you can wing it. You should be prepared with having a daily schedule, lesson plans and activities, rules and routines, transitions, and materials. Organize space and materials. Factors that affect space organization. An organized classroom can inspire children to take part in the activities of the day. The space should be arranged to define the scope and limits of activities. Space will also affect the children's use of and care of materials. Therefore, the space must provide the proper learning experiences. When planning classroom space, many factors should be considered. These factors would greatly affect how the classroom is organized. They include licensing requirements, program goals, group size, scale, and traffic patterns. Organizing basic activity areas. Classrooms arranged according to activity areas provide an ideal environment for active learning. Each activity area should clearly convey to the children what those choice areas are. For example, the art area should have an easel and art supplies. By displaying these materials in an inviting manner, the children will be aware of what is available to them. This gives them the chance to make their own choices. When introducing activity areas, children require an introduction to the activity area in the classroom. They need to learn what materials are in each area. They need to learn what activities take place in that area. They also need to learn the safety and cleanup rules of that area. In programs that operate for 9-month seasons, the children can be introduced to the area at the start of the session. In programs that operate throughout the year, children can be introduced to each area when they first enroll in the program. Children who have been in the program for a time may help the teacher introduce the areas to new students. Children need to learn the routine for using and replacing materials. Carefully arranging materials will enable the children to help maintain the learning environment. To help children feel comfortable in using and moving about the areas, use labels and signs. Labels and signs direct children's attention. This then helps children become self-directed learners. Labels and signs also encourage children to return materials to the storage areas. Tape pictures to the storage area to serve as reminders. Children should have their own individual spaces in the classroom for their belongings. Avoid clutter. Keep classroom materials organized and have a place for everything. Use bins, boxes, trays, envelopes, and label supplies. Never wait for an emergency to realize you are out of items. Always have on hand tissue, soap, paper towels, and toilet paper. Why observe children? There are a number of reasons you should observe children. These include getting to know an individual child, identifying any specialized needs, to address specific problems, to document progress, to evaluate the program, and to learn about child development. To get to know individual children, observations help teachers determine a child's abilities, interests, and level of development. Activities can then be planned with the child's needs in mind. To identify special needs, observation records can help determine whether a child needs specialized services or programs, such as speech therapy, counseling, a gifted program, or remedial education. To address specific problems, observations can help teachers plan a strategy for dealing with problem behaviors. To document progress, teachers and parents want to know how children are progressing in their development. When observation records are kept, it is easier to notice changes that occur over time. To evaluate the program, observations of all the participants in a child care program over a period of time can reveal whether the program is meeting its goals. Observations of the environment itself gives clues to its effectiveness and any needs for improvement. Also, to learn about child development, even the most experienced child care specialists gain a deeper understanding of children from first-hand observations. A lot goes on in a child care setting each day. The practice of observing and recording behavior helps focus your attention on details that might otherwise be missed. What are listening skills? Listening involves more than simply hearing words. It requires paying attention to facial expressions, tone of voice, and word choice. You can test your listening skills by repeating the message in your own words to make sure you understand. Well-developed listening skills allow you to hear not only what is said, but also what is felt. Recording your observations. How will you record observations? You have several choices. They range from simple counts and checklists to detailed descriptions of behaviors. The method you choose depends on your purpose for observing. No matter which type of recording method you use, the following guidelines should apply. Include your name so that others will know who made the observation. Note the date and the beginning and ending time. List the children involved and their ages. Also note any adults involved. Identify the setting. Be careful not to record behaviors that did not actually observe. If Selena tells a teacher, "Joy hit me," simply record what Selena said. Don't record that Joy hit Selena unless you actually saw it happen. Record events as they happen or soon after, while the details are fresh in your mind. Let's take a minute to look at the essential role of observations and documentation.
I observe and document in a variety of different ways. I tend to do a lot of watching and listening and note-taking, and I love to write quotes down from the children because that shows me really what they're excited about and what they're taking away from it. Through documentation and observation, I get to see what the children are learning, what is the most fun, what's really hooking in with them, what maybe I will want to do for the next unit because this has lit a fire about something else and it's connected, but it could be even more. And I think that observing and documenting your children is a truly important thing to remember to do, because if you don't have that, then you're not really paying attention. And by paying close attention to each child at different times during the day, you really get to know them and you get to know their heart and you get to know their interests, and through that you build a classroom that is based on each individual's personal strengths and differences and interests, and it makes for a classroom that's very tight and cohesive and very exciting and alive because the children have the best ideas, bottom line.
Assessing children's development. In order to get a clear picture of a child's overall development, teachers should conduct observations in a variety of situations over time. You should take care to collect information about all areas of development, including physical, intellectual, social, emotional, and moral. Your knowledge of development based on the information you have learned can help you learn what to look for. The planning and assessment cycle consists of you observing, analyzing, assessing, and planning activities related to what you observed and areas where children need support. You would then conduct activities related to your findings in the environment and repeat the cycle of observation and assessment again. The systematic observation takes place on a regular basis, is deliberate and thoughtful, listening, watching, and recording the children's behaviors. Use a variety of techniques to document observations. Developing lesson plans. It takes more than just an idea to make an activity happen in the classroom. Each one must first be developed into a lesson plan. A lesson plan is a detailed written explanation of an activity, including the purpose, any materials needed, and the step-by-step method for carrying out the activity. Lesson plans are an organized tool. They force you to think ahead about what you want to accomplish and why. They enable you to think through what you will do. They can also be saved for future use and references. Imagine what would happen if you had to walk into a preschool classroom right now and teach a group of children about gravity. Without materials and a procedure, you would probably flounder. You might waste time and bore the children while quickly trying to come up with an appropriate idea of what to do. You probably would not have the items you need to give the children a hands-on experience. You might take one direction and then realize afterwards that you left out something important or interesting that should have been done. Lesson plans enables you to work through the idea mentally and on paper before it's enacted. By doing so, you have a clear understanding of the purpose behind each activity. You can assemble the right materials in the right quantity. When planning your lesson plan, you should take information collected from observations of the children to create lessons that fit the needs of the children in your care. Once observations have been written down, the records should be filed for later reference. Several easy systems can be used for keeping observations organized. All records that pertain to individual children need to be placed together under each child's name. Some teachers keep a filed folder for each child. Others place observation records in an accordion, file, or tab-ring binder. Teachers should review the records periodically to make sure they are collecting adequate information about each child in the program. Maintaining confidentiality. To ensure that the privacy of a child and family is not invaded, always keep observation records confidential. They should never be left in open view. If observations will be made available to a researcher or person other than the teacher, written permission must be obtained from those who have legal custody of the child. Signed and dated permission slips should be placed in files before any observation takes place. Building observation skills. Becoming a skilled observer takes practice. The more often you observe, the more effective you will become at noting and recording the details of children's behaviors. If you continue in the child care field, you will gain the knowledge and experience required to make sound judgments when interpreting observations. First-hand observations of children will help give you the insight needed by a child care professional. For this week's assignments, you will read in your textbook Essentials, pages 325 through 345.